Dale Abraham, Golf Tips Magazine, top 25 instructor here. I want to help you with your greenside bunker play. Really important, there's two things that we need to do first. Number one is read the sand, and number two is read the lie in the sand. Now what I mean by reading the sand is determine if the sand is hard or soft. That's going to really determine whether we want to dig the club into the sand or slide the club through the sand. Anytime we have soft sand and the ball sitting up, we want to skip through the sand. We don't want to go into the sand too much or the ball won't go very far. You've all seen the person hit one and it goes halfway to the edge of the lip and rolls right back in. That's not what we want. We want to get this up on the green. We get good at that. We want to be able to get it close to the hole in one shot. So to do this, is the sand soft or is it hard? If the sand's soft, we want more bounce. If you look at the club and your club doesn't say what degrees of bounce it is, you may be in trouble there. We want a sand wedge with about 14 degrees of bounce would be the general recommendation there, and then a lob wedge with 7 to 10 degrees of bounce. So you're 60 with 7 or 10, you're 54 or 56 with about 14 degrees of bounce. Bounce is the angle that when we hold the shaft vertically, the bottom of the club sits at an angle versus horizontal. This one right here, my favorite, is a Titleist Vokey wedges. This is a 54 with 14 degrees of bounce. That's going to help me slide the club through the sand. The more bounce, it's like a hull on a ship. The hull plows the ship through the water instead of going into it, and that's what we want here on the soft sand. So soft sand, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to place the ball forward in my stance. Now, if you tend to be a slicer in your full swing, we probably want to set our feet much squarer to the target. If you tend to hook the ball or if you hit it pretty straight, you can point your stance slightly left of the target here. If I consider here's my target line and I consider that to be about 12 o'clock on a clock, I might open my feet to about 11 o'clock. Otherwise, if you tend to slice, keep them fairly straight right at the target. But the ball is going to go forward in my stance. I'm going to dig my feet in about 2 inches. I may lean my stance or my weight about 60% of my left side, and I open the club face. I take the club face from straight up and down and move it to from noon, 1 o'clock. That'll help the club slide through the sand. And then all I do is I make a pretty good length backswing here, slide the club underneath the ball, hit about 2 inches behind it, and as I hit down into it, that open club face will let the ball just pop out as the club slides right through. And that's how you can get it out in one shot, no problem. Now, if I've got a buried lie, okay, or I'm on hard pan, this is fairly soft sand, so I'm going to just bury it, and we play it both of these the same way. Got the ball sitting down. Now I don't want to slide through the sand, I want to dig into the sand. If I slide through the top part of the sand, I'll hit the top of the ball. So to dig, or if I'm on hard pan where I want the club to dig a bit, I'm going to play the ball further back in my stance. I'm going to get a little bit closer to it. That's going to help me make a little bit steeper swing and get the club to dig. I'm going to put my weight more on my left side, about 75%. From there, club face square or even slightly closed. And what I do is I pick the club up vertically with a lot of wrist hinge and hit down into it, again, 2 inches behind it. This ball is going to come out lower and run more. It's just we have to plan for that. So a lot of times you'll use your lob wedge, which has less bounce, which will dig a little bit more. In this case, I'm going to let it run a little more, so ball's back in my stance, weight's forward, club face nice and square, hit 2 inches behind. The ball will hit, pop up, and run somewhat towards the target. Use the club to fit the situation. And hopefully this will help you, but remember the first two things, do I want to dig or do I want to slide the club through the sand? If you want to dig, ball's back, weight's left, club face square. If we want to skip the club through the sand, ball's more forward, weight's actually just a hair forward, club face open. Okay, so from this face-on view, if we've got the good lie, the ball's going to be forward in our stance as we dig our feet in. You can see ball's off the inside part of my front foot, and I'm going to have my weight slightly left with that club face, again, very, very open, and I'm going to make a nice, big, flowing swing. When I've got the buried lie, I'm going to play the ball back in my stance. I may have my feet a little narrower. That'll help give me a steeper angle of attack. But I'm going to put that ball just on the inside of my back foot, really lean my weight forward, and from here, I'm picking the club up very vertically with my wrist, so I hit down into it. That's going to give me a steeper angle of attack, have that club go into the ground. So again, buried lie, ball back, dig the feet in, weight left, up, and down, you can see, even though I've stopped it and made a short follow through, my hands are still ahead of the club head. I'm not trying to lift it or scoop it out of there. That one won't work. If I've got a good lie here, instead of having the ball back and my feet narrow, I'm going to now play the ball more forward with my feet wider. That helps give me more of a U-shaped, shallow bottom. My weight's not going to be leaning as far towards the target, a little more centered with a hair of my weight on the front leg. Open club face, aim 2 inches behind, nice big follow through, that'll pop it out. If I want to control my distance, I keep about the same length backswing, and I can cut off my follow through for a short shot, and I can extend my follow through, which gives me more acceleration, allow me to hit a longer shot. And I can also change clubs. I can go from my lob wedge to my sand wedge, might even go to a pitching wedge or 9-iron, still blasting it 2 inches behind, using the club and the size of the follow through to fit the situation. Hope this helps you with the success in the bunkers. Get them out there close, knock them in for pars.